Hey YouTube, it's Marita and welcome to another edition of the Nurse Lounge. And in today's edition, we're going to talk about, are you getting a return on your investment when it comes to nursing school? If you want to see what I'm talking about, stay tuned. Welcome back. My name is Dr. Marita P. I'm a registered nurse, been a nurse for 17 years. OBGYN is my specialty. Well, baby nursery is my specialty. I'm currently a nurse educator. I teach at an HBCU and I'm doctorally prepared. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into this topic of, are you getting a return on your investment when it comes to nursing school? Now, I want to preface this by saying this is in no way trying to put programs against one another. There's levels to this, shall I say. And fundamentally, education is a business. So I always talk about healthcare being a business, but education is also a business first, okay? So anything that we do is to generate income. And so there's programs out there who are for profit, okay? And these for-profit programs are truly just about getting your money. I happen to know a program who, for an associate's degree, it costs $50,000. Now, in that $50,000 for the nursing degree for I want to say it's an accelerated program for about, 18 months? 15 to 18 months? 50K. In that 50K, though, the books are included, the uniforms are included, the stethoscopes included, so they have everything all inclusive. But the education, all that is 50K. And it is a for-profit institution. And there are several for-profit institutions out here that are truly here just to get your money. That's all they want. So therefore, a lot of those programs have lower criteria to get in, meaning these are the programs in which you have lower GPA requirements. They may or may not have an entrance exam that you have to take in order to get in. These are programs that take people who typically wouldn't get into some of the other competitive programs. Now, I'm not knocking either program. I'm not knocking competitive programs. What I am saying is that there's levels to this. You have programs that are very competitive. You have, typically in those programs, you have faculty who are doctorally prepared, depending on the level of program. You have faculty who hold themselves to a certain criteria, a certain level of quality education that they provide. And then you also have programs who are for profit, who hire anyone who just graduated yesterday to teach their classes. And that is going to reflect on the education that the students get. Now, I have worked at both. So I know what I'm talking about when I speak on at least this one institution. I can't speak that all for-profits are like this, but I can speak for this in terms of education as a whole is to generate income. So when it comes to those kind of programs, you have to be mindful that to get a return on your investment, that means you put money in, okay? And in this case, in this particular school's case, is $50,000. And the goal is to come out knowledgeable, safe, understanding what evidence-based practice is and research is, come out with that degree. Well, I guess with an associate's degree, they don't do research class. But my point is, have an understanding of evidence-based practice anyway. And then come out prepared to sit for the national board or the boards of nursing, state boards of nursing, and NCLEX, and pass and be successful and be safe and competent when you go out to the floor or wherever you work. Well, that is furthest from the truth. So if you didn't know anything about education, you're going to learn something today about education and how it works. And so again, a lot of these for-profit schools are just that. They're for profit, not for the student. When I say they're not for the student, I mean that they will take your money, you get subpar education, and in exchange, you may or may not pass the boards. And in exchange, if you do pass the boards and get a job, you still don't know how to do your job as a nurse. And I'm not speaking of the fact that you learn a lot of what you do as a nurse on the floor. I'm not speaking of that. That's true for any program. But you don't even have the fundamentals down. Because truth be told is, a lot of these programs want people to come out they want their money. So let's say, as an example, a 78 is your passing score to go to the next class or to pass the class. And you have a 75, 70, 68 even, they will pass you still. These programs will pass you and you will suffer long term. It will catch up with you somehow, some way, but you will suffer long term. And if you are lucky enough to finish school being passed through, if you're lucky enough to finish school being passed through, I guarantee you your career will suffer as a result of that. And you're wondering why we have such subpar nurses in the profession today. And part of that is because of the education system in which they went through. I keep saying there's levels to this, and there is. You have competitive schools who are typically, not always, typically above average, hence why they're competitive. You have your average schools, and then you have your subpar. For profit doesn't mean subpar, but a lot of them fall into the subpar category because, again, those students could not meet the criteria to get into your competitive programs. Not always. So before anybody comes and says, well, I'm not talking about you. If you're the exception, not the rule. I speak on rules, not exceptions when I'm talking. So a lot of these programs operate that way. Also, what comes with subpar education is typically subpar faculty. Not always. Because what happens is you will have good faculty that will go to those programs and to teach. But what happens is when they see how bad the program is, and the fact that they don't have academic freedom to actually teach the way they want to teach, because everything is structured a certain way, everything's pre-written. Instructors teach to the test, which is never good. So if you have an instructor who teaches to the test, you don't have a good instructor. They are either doing what they want to do in that case, or they're doing what they're told to do in that case. Either way is not good. So what does it mean to teach to the test? Basically, you don't have to read anything. They give you a study guide and say this is what's going to be on the test. Sometimes even give you questions that's going to be on the test. You answer those questions and you see those at the test, and then you answer the questions and you pass the test. That's not what nursing school is. That's not what it is at all. They are actually cheating you out of your education. You're not getting a return on your investment if that's what you're getting. You're not. Because what we do in nursing is not about taking a test for a class. It's not even about taking NCLEX, really. When we take NCLEX, we only take NCLEX to say that we're minimally safe. That just means you have a license to potentially kill somebody. That's what that means. A license. Now, it's no different than getting a driver's license. So when you get a driver's license at 16 years old, does that mean you're a good driver? Nope. It just means you met the minimum criteria. That's what the NCLEX is. It means you meet the minimum criteria. So imagine not passing the NCLEX because you got subpar education, and you've taken the NCLEX 2 or 3 or 4 times because you got subpar education. In that case, you did not get a return on your investment, because not only did you not pass the state exams, you also don't know anything, and you're obviously not safe enough to practice. Otherwise, you would have passed your test. In order to get a return on your investment, you as the student have to know what the criteria is to get in. You have to go seek to, you have to realize. So for instance, I was advising a student this week, and when I advised her, she was told she went to go actually to a higher up, and she was only making a 50 in the class. You have to have a 78 to pass. The higher up told her, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. You'll be successful in this class. Their only way to get a 50 to a 78 is to change that grade. We had 2 more tests left. There's no way to get that grade from a 50 to a 78 if you failed everything else you've done thus far. So be leery of schools that do that. You may say, oh, that sounds great. They're going to help me pass. Okay, but we're talking about the patients here that you're supposed to be caring for. So I want to make sure that you all are aware. Anybody who watches this video who is not into nursing, who's not a nurse at all, who's just maybe someone who seeks, who happen to enjoy my videos, or who happens to just, be what I call a lay person, someone who's a patient somewhere. I want you to know that all nurses are not created equal. They didn't get a return on their investment. Some people are not even here for the right reasons. So they're not only here to get the money, they could care less about actually taking care of patients. They just want the money. These are the people I'm talking about who get passed through these programs and are deemed unsafe to practice, even though they may have gotten a license or not. If they've gotten a license, but they don't really care, they're going to be ones taking care of you nonetheless. So just because you went to a nursing program, and I've heard this on my TikTok, oh, I went to a program, we didn't have to read anything. Well, you went to a subpar program. It is subpar. I said what I said. Any program who does not require you to read, any program who teaches to the test, Any program who does not have active learning activities for you to do, which is what the research actually indicates, is a subpar program. Again, there's levels to this. Not saying that you are not going to be a good nurse. You're not going to be the best nurse, though, because you went to a subpar program. If you find somebody in the who precepts you who happens to be an excellent nurse, then of course you could, change some of those ways. But if you don't have the foundation of nursing, then what do you really have? So I teach, at different institutions, and the program, even the program that I teach in or have taught in, I've taught in a subpar program before. Now, what I taught my students in that subpar program was good. But when you have the rest of the program who was a complete mess and they still fail the NCLEX, what does that say about the program as a whole? So what I did in my class is not even reflective if they still fail the NCLEX as a whole, is what I'm trying to say. So all nurses are not created equal. All nursing programs are not created equal. All nursing instructors are not created equal. You are a product of who taught you. So you can have actually a very good school, but for whatever reason they have, new faculty in, and the new faculty don't know how to do their job, or they're just not good faculty. And as a result, you are educated poorly. You are a reflection of who taught you. You are a reflection. Listen to that. You are a reflection of who taught you. So if you go to a subpar program because you just got to get through, I understand. But understand, the people who come out here talking about, well, I graduated I had all A's in my program. That don't mean nothing if they passed you. It means absolutely nothing. Because you're still not good, because you don't even know what you're supposed to know because you were taught to the test. And unfortunately, a lot of programs do this because that's what education is about, the money. And people are not ready to hear that, but I'm going to speak on it. It's fact. So what can be done if you went to a subpar program? If you went to a subpar program and this sounds like you, then when you get to your floor, you have to have a good preceptor. And your preceptor will help you, hopefully. Preceptor will help you, change your mindset, help you learn what you need to learn, and get you caught up. Because again, you are a product of who teaches you. So if you have a good instructors, you'll have usually better outcomes when it comes to your career as a nurse. If you have good instructors but have bad preceptors, again, it's going to be tarnished. So everything builds. Good instructors, good preceptors make good nurses. Good instructors, good preceptors make good nurses. Bad instructors, bad preceptors make bad nurses. You are truly the product of who teaches you. So if you are in a preceptor situation and he or she is like, okay, they're not teaching me anything. I'm not learning anything. They don't help me. Find you another preceptor. If you're currently in nursing school and you feel like you're not getting what you put into it, like you're not getting anything out of it, you need to report that. You need to go to the instructor. You need to go to the director. You need to go to the dean. Whatever it happens to be, you go up the chain of command. That's what I'm trying to say. You have to get you want a return on your investment. You always want a return on your investment. If I put something in, I want to get something quality out. Now, if you don't, now in terms of your investment, so that also lends itself to how much are you investing into your program, into learning, not just the financial part of it. When you are studying, how much are you investing? If you study 2 days a week, you're not investing in it. So your return on that investment is going to be very poor. This goes into studying as well. What is your return on your investment when it comes to nursing school? So if you put in $50,000 of money, but then the instructor gives you barely any education, you did not get a good return on your investment. Let's say you put in that money, but you don't do your part. You don't study. An instructor is not going to pour into a empty cup. You have to come with some substance. So if you want it, they will want it for you. If you don't want it, they're not going to invest in you. What is your return on your investment when it comes to nursing school? What is your return on your investment when it comes to nursing school? Are you ready for the rigor of nursing school? And then once you've obtained that degree and you've obtained that nursing license, are you ready for the rigor of the real world? Talk to your preceptors, talk to everybody to make sure that if you felt like you got subpar education, and honestly, with COVID, the pandemic, pushing people out, things like that. A lot of people had subpar education, even at your better institutions, because they didn't go to clinical for a period of time. There's plenty of nurses who are leaving bedside, creating a shortage at the bedside. So therefore, when they create the shortage at the bedside, you are having to go into work and being, new grad, being off orientation within a month or two when you should have had 4 to 6 months orientation. So again, you are the product of who teaches you. Good instructors, good preceptors, good nurse. Bad instructors, bad preceptors, bad nurse. Now there's always a mix and match to that, meaning that you could have had, great instructors but a bad preceptor, so you have a great foundation. That's great. But if you had a bad foundation but a good preceptor who's going to really will you in and get you trained, that's great. But it would have been great to have it build and have a great instructors, great, program, great preceptors, great nurse. So that's what the goal is here, is to be a great nurse, to be an astute nurse, to be a nurse who practices based off of evidence-based practice and research, not because somebody told you to do something. That's what we're trying to obtain here. And so there's levels to this. I keep saying that. Education, there's levels to it. Did you go to a good program? Did you go to, what's your NCLEX pass rates? Is your program accredited? If it's not accredited, you are not in a good program. If you have low NCLEX pass rates, you're not in a good program. If you're not getting a return on your investment, you're not in a good program, or was not in a good program. If you had to read your book, that's better. If you never had to read your book in nursing school, you were not in a good program. You were not. There's levels to it. Anyway, I'm going to end the video here. Comment, like, share, subscribe. We're on our road to 3K. 3K subscribers. Help get me there. Share the video. Follow me on IG and TikTok if you so choose. And until the next time, you all take care. Bye-bye.